my father's eulogy. We celebrate the life of Senator Number One, as he was fondly referred to by his colleagues in the Senate, who by the time of his demise on the morning of Friday, 30th of June, 2017, had led a distinguished life spanning 80 years, which was characterized by selfless service to the people of Kenya and Laikipia County in particular. His early life, Dr. Senator Godfrey Gitai Kariuki was born on 1st of January 1937 at Lariak Estate, Laikipia County. He belonged to the first generation of the Gikuyu who migrated to the Rift Valley at the beginning of the last century. His father was a squatter cum laborer, having left his ancestral home in Nyeri in 1911. They lived as squatters thanks to the notorious land laws like the Crown Lands Ordinance of 1902 and the Resident Native Laborers Ordinance of 1925. Gigi's father, the late Kariuki Wawaiwa, was born in Gadaidi, Nyeri County. It was a district then and had 3 wives, the late Wagoi wa Ngobe, the late Waidhiagani wa Gumo, and the late Waidi Moashuri, who together bore him many children. Gigi was the 4th born of the 2nd wife, Waidhiagani. At the age of 5, Gigi enrolled at Lariak Primary School, run by the Kikuyu Independent School Association, where he sat his Kenya African Primary Examination in 1949 and passed, although he was admitted to Kagumo High School. In 1950, he was unable to enroll in the school for lack of fees. Instead, he joined Kiamwangi Secondary School in Gatondo, Kiambu County, which was an independent school. However, in 1952, he dropped out at Form 2 when the school, like other independent schools elsewhere, was closed following the declaration of the state of emergency. Senator Gigi returned to Laikipia or Lariak, where he continued with such family chores as herding livestock. When his family was repatriated back to Nyeri, he was left in Laikipia alongside his elder brother, Waigwa, and took to working for one Edward F. Hall as a dishwasher, or as it was known then, kitchen toto. In his free time, he mingled with the Turkana and Maasai boys of his age, which enabled him to learn the language and culture of both communities. This knowledge was to prove invaluable in his later political career. Even as he worked in the kitchen, his thirst for knowledge was unquenched. Fortunately, as he undertook his routine mail delivery, he came across a postal address for an institution offering education by correspondence. Thus, in 1954, Gigi enrolled with the British Tutorial College for a course leading to the General Certificate of Education. His love for books and reading in quest for knowledge may have then been triggered by these correspondence courses. In his spare time, he immersed himself in reading. During this time, he got a promotion from kitchen toto to a cook, working for another settler then, John Roberts. In 1956, Gigi sat and passed his GCE examination. He contemplated furthering his education through correspondence, but abandoned the venture altogether for lack of fees. Soon after, he was hired at Gaterima Farm as a pig attendant. He was, however, sacked for agitating against the poor working conditions and mistreatment of African laborers. Now jobless, he went to Nyeri, where he trained as a public health inspector and completed the course in 1959 under the sponsorship of his elder brother, Waigwa. Even in Nyeri, he got into trouble with the local administration for agitating against forced communal labor, for which he was nicknamed Born Free. Gigi's strained relations with the local administration, coupled with a failure to secure a good job after trading, saw him return to Nyahururu, where he tried his hand in shopkeeping. However, he realized that he had no interest in this work. In his words, he said, "I developed a fondness for the inspirational rhetoric of freedom fighters. I greatly admired Kenyan nationalists such as Jomo Kenyatta and Thomas Mboya. I realized I was not interested in shopkeeping and left the shop in the hands of my friend to join politics. Politics became Gigi's calling. Throughout his life, Gigi pursued various subjects, including law, fine art, accounting, and philosophy, which eventually led him to renew his quest for further studies. When he took a break from politics in 1991, he enrolled for a master's degree in international relations at Salve Regina University in the United States of America, graduating in 1999. It was during this break that he also wrote his captivating autobiography titled Illusions of Power, Reflections on 50 Years in Kenya Politics, which was published in 2001. In 2014, Gigi undertook studies at the Center for Strategic Studies in Galilee, Israel, leading to a diploma in national security, while simultaneously undertaking his PhD studies at the University of Nairobi at the Institute of Diplomacy and International Studies. His academic career culminated in his earned doctorate degree in international relations in the year 2015, making him the oldest doctorate candidate to graduate from the University of Nairobi at the age of 78. He valued and cherished the intrinsic value of knowledge and the power it provided intellectually. His political career, Gigi believed that politics is a calling, and that as long as one is genuinely driven by the desire to understand and solve people's problems, and not elections and power for its own sake, then they are likely to last long on the political stage, a fact that he has proved. In his career, his political mark was visible in party politics, mass mobilization, parliamentarianism, and administration. His political life and involvement began in 1952 at the tender age of 15 years, when he was bitten by the freedom bug. He had grown in a politically conscious environment, born out of squatters' life. Within the White Highlands, where the Africans faced common problems, he enrolled into the freedom movement and became a member of the Revolutionary Council of the Mau Mau, after having taken the oath to engage in armed struggle for independence. Virtually everybody in his family had joined the movement, and some became organizers. At only 15 years of age, nothing much was expected of him. Nevertheless, he belonged to a formation of young boys referred to as Shogi, a group whose duty involved surveillance to ensure that government agents did not interrupt oathing ceremonies. Later, while serving as a cook, he collected logistical information from the colonial forces, which he passed on to the Mau Mau. In 1959, Gigi teamed up with Mark Mwedaga and Kenga wa Mwedia to found the Central Rift Labour Party, He was the party's delegate to the conference that formed the Kenya African National Union, KANU, in March 1960. He was thus a founder member of the party. In August 1960, Gigi Kariuki was elected as the district secretary of KANU for Laikipia and Aberdares, a position he served until 1967, before taking up the chairmanship. He was also a member of KANU's National Executive Committee until 1997. Gigi entered elective politics in January 1961 election when KANU headquarters approved his candidacy to contest for a legislative assembly seat to represent Northern Province West. The constituency consisted of Turkana, Samburu, Isiolo, and Marsabit district. However, when Peter Andrew Areman, a Turkana, joined KANU, Gigi realized that it would be futile to continue his campaign among the Turkana, who were the majority at the time, and as voters. He withdrew his candidature in favor of Peter Areman, who went on to win the seat. During the subsequent self-government elections of 1963, Gigi was elected as a member of the House of Representatives in the bicameral National Assembly to represent Laikipia Nanyuki constituency. He was therefore the first elected African to represent Laikipia when Laikipia East constituency was established. Gigi retained Laikipia West, where he was re-elected in 1969, 1974, and 1979. During a snap elections called by the President Daniel Arap Moi in 1983, Gigi lost the parliamentary seat largely due to having fallen out with the ruling party, KANU. He had served continuously for 20 years. Thereafter, he was to remain in the political cold for 10 years until he was nominated into Parliament in 1993, serving up to the 1997 elections. He was to recapture the Laikipia West seat in 2002 on a National Rainbow Coalition ticket, NAC. Gigi's bid to defend the Laikipia West parliamentary seat in the 2007 elections was unsuccessful. With the onset of devolved system of government in 2013, he was re-elected as senator of Laikipia County, a position he held until his death. His parliamentary service, he served in parliament in various capacities. Between 2003 and 2007, he served as chairman of the Defense and Foreign Relations Committee and was a member of the Parliamentary Service Commission, where he chaired its Staff Welfare Committee. From March 2013 till his demise, he was member of the Senate Standing Committee on National Security and Foreign Relations. He was a member of the Senate Standing Committee on Finance, Commerce and Budget, and member of the Senate Sessional Committee on Implementation. In public service, he served in the Kenyatta government when he was appointed Assistant Minister for Lands and Settlement in 1969, a position he held until 1979. After the elections that year, President Daniel Arap Moi appointed him Minister of State in the Office of President in charge of internal security and provincial administration. In 1983, he was transferred to his former Ministry of Lands and Settlement and Physical Planning as a cabinet minister. In regard to development of Laikipia, Gigi Kariuki played such a key role in the development of Laikipia that one cannot speak of Laikipia without mentioning his name, or his life is synonymous with the livelihood and development of the county. Development of infrastructure and provisions of services such as roads, rural electrification, medical facilities, primary and secondary schools, cattle dips, among others, are largely attributed to him. He will particularly be remembered for the pivotal role he played in the settlement of the landless, both in Laikipia and in the country as a whole. Realizing the challenges that people in Laikipia are facing in land acquisition and settlement, Gigi spearheaded the formation of Laikipia West Farmers Company in 1972. Members of the company, the members, whatever their ethnic ground, they were allocated land as long as they had subscribed. One was required to pay 1,720 shillings, but those who did not have the money were required to pay only 20 shillings to be allocated 5 acres of land. This was perhaps the biggest and best gift he gave to Laikipia, as thousands of those who paid up 20 shillings were allocated land. One resident remarked, "Gigi gave us free land. What can 20 shillings do?" Following the success of Laikipia West Farmers Company, Gigi helped form more than 50 other companies across Laikipia operating on a similar model. These earned him a reputation nationally as a champion of the landless, promoting others to emulate him. While Gigi put great effort in expanding African settlement in Laikipia, he equally struggled to change the attitude among policymakers that the county was no longer a ranching unit inhabited by squatters. This would call for revision of development policies and priorities to accommodate the expanding population. To articulate his view, he circulated a document titled An Appraisal of the Existing Socio-Economic and Physical Problems and Their Possible Solutions. His vision for the county continues to inform development priorities. Gigi, the man, and his family will start from 1961. After the heated elections of 1961, dubbed the Kenyatta elections, Gigi married Gladys Wairimu under the Gikuyu traditional marriage rites. They had met earlier while working at the Nyahururu Kanu office. Together, they were blessed with children and grandchildren. Gigi was a dedicated husband and father who loved and protected his family from his public life. Indeed, he was very particular on whom he discussed or gave details about his family in line with Gikuyu cultural values. He would not count his children, goats, or cows, nor talk about them with strangers. He consistently worked on instilling strong family bonds, grounded in respect for others, with a sense of focused duty and responsibility to self and community. As a father, he was extremely gentle, but firm about order, discipline. He always admonished with candor and always preferred dialogue as a basis for resolving issues. He abhorred any form of violence in all spheres of his life. Gigi the man was soft-spoken and very sensitive to the plight of all individuals who crossed his path or made his acquaintance. He was an extremely generous man. He always gave more than he could and was always proud to take less than he needed. He cared deeply for his fellow human beings, neighbors, friends, and relatives. He always loved reaching out and lifting people up from their problems. For him, this was probably the most satisfying reward. But of all these traits, the most powerful was his capacity to forgive, coupled with an outstanding belief and reliance on the human spirit. His faith and spirituality, although during his formative years, Gigi had attended catechism classes in the independent church of Lariak Primary School. He was a multi-denominational in his religious persuasion. He associated closely with the Akorino sect, for whom he was instrumental in lobbying for their formal registration countrywide. He also closely associated with the PCA and Catholic churches, among others. In his lifetime, he contributed heavily to the construction and development of many churches for various denominations over the last 40 years. He had made a family tradition of hosting interdenominational prayers on the first of every year, led by the Akorino. This religious persuasion prompted him to build an interdenominational chapel in his homestead in memory of the Akorino bishop, John Shege. In 2014, Gigi went on a pilgrimage to Israel, where he was baptized in River Jordan. His religious commitment was a very personal issue to him, which was demonstrated in his character, lifestyle, service to mankind, and his interaction with the various churches, particularly in all his private functions. Notwithstanding his life accomplishments, he was a man forged of many elements and experiences, making him truly extraordinary. Led by God for God's work in the struggle for human dignity, freedom, economic emancipation, enhancement of human consciousness in a diverse cultural matrix. He dedicated his life for the people's cause. He was a leader, friend, and mentor to many. His dreams and aspirations may live with us so that we may never forget him. Senator Gigi enjoyed good health for most of his life. He was very disciplined with regard to lifestyle, physical fitness, and mental well-being. Even through meditation, he took health matters so seriously that he trained and became a black belt in Taekwondo. His passion for martial arts not only played a large part in supporting his health regime, but also provided an opportunity to actively engage in sports. In 1982, he became the vice president of the World Taekwondo Federation and was also the national patron of the Kenya Taekwondo Association. He left a legacy in the development and advancement of Taekwondo in the country. However, 18 months ago, it was discovered that he had a cardiovascular condition which deteriorated after a successful hip replacement operation. The family made every effort to provide the best medical care possible. He visited Netcare in Sunning Hill Hospital in South Africa, Johns Hopkins University Hospital in Baltimore, St. Anthony's Hospital in the United Kingdom, and eventually the Nairobi Hospital, where he succumbed to his illness after being hospitalized for about 2 weeks. We thank God for him and his life with us. Thank you very much, and may God bless you abundantly.